Human rights groups accuse Peru's president of crimes against humanity in submission to ICC. Peru's President Dina Boluarte speaks to members of the press regarding an investigation into alleged bribes involving Rolex watch at the government palace in Lima on April 5th, 2024. CNN. Two human rights groups have made a submission to the International Criminal Court accusing Peru's President Dina Boluarte and members of her government of crimes against humanity in connection with the deaths of 49 people during the Andean country's weeks-long protest movement in 2022 and 2023. The International Federation for Human Rights, called the FIDH, and Peru's Association for Human Rights submitted a communication to the ICC Tuesday, asking it to open a preliminary examination against Boluarte and the members of her government regarding the allegations. According to the ICC, submitting the communication is the first step fully to establish if, based on available information, it appears that the crimes within its jurisdiction have been committed. If it decided this is so, the court can proceed to open a full preliminary examination. Lawyers Jimena Reyes, director of the Americas desk at FIDH, and Gloria Cano, director of the APRODEH, met members of the prosecutor's office on Tuesday and submitted documentation alleging crimes against humanity took place between December 7th, 2022 and February 9th, 2023, a statement released by the FIDH says. The persons implicated in the commission of the crimes of murder and attempt murder were state authorities, including members of the Peruvian Army and the Peruvian National Police, who acted in accordance with the state policy planned or, at the minimum, approved by the omission by the highest national authorities of Peru. A report issued by the FIDH and APRODIHE concludes. The victims were part of the civilian population of protesters or persons perceived as such, mainly young, poor men from indigenous areas of the country, the report added. CNN has reached out to the Peruvian government and the attorney representing Boluarte for comment. President Boluarte has denied any personal responsibility since the protest started, while former Prime Minister Alberto Otarola said the government defended Peruvians' right to peace and calm. Apart from the victims, there were also hundreds of the people injured as a result of the indiscriminate use of lethal force by the military and by the police who were in charge of the patrolling the demonstrations after the declaration of the state of emergency. Cano told CNN the majority were killed while exercising their legitimate right to protest, Cano said. The victim profiles submitted to the ICC include 32-year-old Leonardo Hanco and 18-year-old Becan Quispe, whose case has been previously reported by CNN. Citizens walked through the streets before burying 34-year-old Yon Mendoza, who was killed during protests sparked by the ousting of former President Pedro Castillo in Ayacucho, Peru on December 17, 2022. Allegations of extrajudicial execution. The Andean countries country's weeks-long protest movement was sparked by the impeachment and arrest of former President Pedro Castillo in December 2022, fueled by deep dissatisfaction by over living conditions and inequality in the country. While protests occurred throughout the nation, the worst violence was in the rural and the indigenous South. An Amnesty International report in May 2023 found that Peruvian security forces carried out widespread attacks against the protesters, including young men and children. The report alleges the security forces took part in the extrajudicial executions and the widespread use of lethal ammunition while trying to contain the protest. 49 civilians were killed, and Amnesty International says that several of those killed were bystanders. In none of the cases was evidence found that the deceased person posed a risk to the life or integrity of the officers, the Amnesty International report says. Paris prosecutor's office opened the preliminary investigation in January 2023 against Boluarte Otarola and other ministers at the time for alleged genocide, homicide, and serious injuries committed during the protest. Boluarte testified at the closed-door meeting last year. CNN and Espanol reported this investigation remains open. Peru's defense and interior ministries have also been contacted for comment. Both ministries told CNN in February 2023 they could not comment until the ongoing investigation carried out by the prosecutor's office is finished. Peruvian authorities have said that the country's security forces act in self-defense. Last year, Boluarte said that she and her minister do not decide the protocols for the armed forces or the police. They have their own law and protocols. Who do they comply with? Their commanders. We don't have any power over them. I can be the supreme chief of the armed forces, but I have no command over them, and the protocols are decided by them, she said. Giovanna Mendoza, president of the Victims Association in Ayacucho, and who lost her 34-year-old brother, Yon Mendoza, told CNN this request to the ICC is the cry for help from the families in Peru. She says they have been forgotten and ignored by the authorities there. Here we don't trust the government as they only introduce the laws to protect themselves, she said. Luz Barcena told CNN she is hopeful for justice with this request after the death of her husband, Leonardo Hanco. Additional reporting by Jimena Della Quintana, CNN E.